Wow, new Lego Batman game in 2026. Next year is gonna slap, holy. Anyway, Legacy of the Dark Knight. I was gonna start yapping about this yesterday, but I heard we were gonna get a bunch of gameplay today, so I figured I would wait until we actually had gameplay, till I had all the details, and I'd make a whole, what do we know about the new Lego Batman game? Everything we know about the new Lego Batman game video. And I'm glad I waited because we learned so much more than we initially had just off of the main developer's speech and the initial reveal trailer. Which makes sense seeing as they were letting people play for like a half hour to 45 minutes for a demo at Gamescom, which is insane. It feels like we know so much about the game and yet we know so little in reality because we've only seen one level and what everybody keeps saying is such a tiny portion of the free roam. I wish I could play it, but I'm just going to be regurgitating information that other people have said and condensing it so that it's easier to ingest for you guys. Yeah, you're welcome, I guess. Anywho, thanks to an article on the Warner Brothers website, we know that there are going to be at least 7 playable characters at the beginning of the game. We're gonna get Batman, obviously. There's gonna be Gordon, there's gonna be Robin, there's gonna be Nightwing, there's gonna be Batgirl, there's gonna be Catwoman. She doesn't have her own headpiece mold though, which is really disappointing to be honest. And for some reason, there's gonna be Talia al Ghul. I don't really understand the story of the game yet. It seems like there's a lot of stuff going on. We'll get to the little portion of the story that we have seen in a little bit here, but I so far have absolutely no idea how the Al Ghuls are involved in it. And honestly, outside of that little portion of story that we've seen, click off now if you want to avoid spoilers for the demo for a game that's not coming out until 2026, in which case, why are you watching this video? Whatever. Anyway, outside of that portion of the demo, we don't really know much about the story. Now, so far in the history of the Lego Batman games and the Lego DC games in general, we've always had original stories, which is always a fun contrast to things like Lego Star Wars, Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Lord of the Rings, and it seems like this time there's not going to be much of a difference there. It's going to be an original story, but it is going to take inspiration from a lot of old Batman things such as The Dark Knight, Robert Pattinson's Batman, and apparently the Arkhamverse, according to this poll on YouTube. Tim Burton's Batman also is going to be a big inspiration. It always has been on the Lego Batman games, especially with the music. But as I said, what we know so far about the plot isn't very much. When Jonathan Smith got on stage at Gamescom in order to talk about the game, he basically said this.
Let's break down that trailer because we see so many fan favorite references, to films and things like that. So what is the story of this game?
This is the definitive, essential Batman story. We take you on Bruce Wayne's epic journey from origin to legend. You'll train with the League of Shadows. You'll fight crime on the streets of Gotham. And as the years go by, you'll establish your ultimate legacy as the Dark Knight. We've incorporated iconic moments and deep-cut references from decades of Batman movies, TV shows, comics, and games.
So yeah, kind of just said a whole lot of nothing, except I guess a lot of everything. We can just assume that it's going to be a lot of everything, right? I mean, we got Joker and Penguin and Catwoman, and we know Talia is going to be there, and he just confirmed Condiment King on an IGN short for some reason. Like, whatever, bro. So, like, who's the main villain? Is there gonna be a main villain? I have no idea. Let me know in the comments how much of this ends up outdated. I'd love to hear, okay, maybe not like spoiler stuff, but in the future, if they reveal stuff before the game comes out in relation to things that I've said, like who the main villain is or gameplay features, stuff like that, let me know in the comments. Also, while you're down there, you should subscribe. Ooh, the button just lit up. It's rainbowy or something. I make videos like this all the time where I yap about DC news. I also make videos all the time where I yap about just DC related things. I yap about other things. I make gameplay videos that are pretty funny sometimes. Sometimes I just make really random videos. I just make videos. Subscribe if you like videos. Yep. One of the only actual story points that we know anything about so far comes from the first level that was playable at Gamescom. The entire level is about stopping the Red Hood at Ace Chemicals. And for those of you who know anything about modern interpretations of the Joker, you have probably read The Killing Joke or have even heard of it or Jesus, have you even seen Batman 1989? I mean, he wasn't the Red Hood there, but it was funny when I first watched this, I kind of just assumed that this wasn't a Joker origin because they were differentiating themselves so much from the Killing Joke, where the Joker being the Red Hood sort of originated from, at least to my knowledge. Because in that story, the Joker was sort of manipulated into wearing the suit, and he wasn't even a career criminal. He was a failed comedian. But when these mobsters approached him with a lot of money and his wife was pregnant, he did whatever he could, which involved putting on a Red Hood suit and robbing Ace Chemicals. When he got stopped by the Batman, he fell into a vat of acid, and you know the rest, of course. But I gotta admit, in this one, the Red Hood seems pretty happy to be doing what he's doing. He's shooting rockets at Jim and Batman, and he's laughing and taunting them. It's pretty funny. I'm actually pretty shocked by how fun the combat looks. When I realized that it was an Arkham clone, I wasn't expecting it to look as interesting as it does, but I don't know, that might just be because of Gotham Knights. My faith in people trying to recreate the Arkham formula is just so not there right now, which is funny because we also got Arkham Shadow, which was a complete VR recreation of the Arkham combat formula, and it was absolutely fantastic. So you'd think that the Traveler's Tales group that has been making Lego games for over a decade, 2 decades at this point, maybe. I think so. Holy, that's crazy. It's close at this point either way. You'd think them making a simplified version of the Arkham combat system for kids would just be a match made in heaven, but apparently I didn't think of that. I also don't want to go so far as to say that this is an Arkham clone necessarily, especially because I haven't played it myself. I've only been watching footage of other people playing it, and although people have been saying it's very similar to Arkham, I would definitely like to be the judge of that myself before I start saying that myself. Maybe I'll use the term Arkham-like. It does kind of feel disrespectful, and it kind of seems like it discounts all the hard work that anybody who makes any Batman game that isn't an Arkham game, you know, like it seems, it's just weird, right? I don't know, like on one hand it totally makes sense to compare every Batman game to the Arkham games, because they're the Arkham games, they're like peak superhero gaming, and they're Batman peak gaming, but also like not everything can be Arkham, right? Not everything is going to be as good. Not everything wants to be like Arkham. I don't know. Whether or not you compare Gotham Knights to Arkham, it still freaking blows, though. Oh god, that game sucks. It is interesting how even though this looks to be a simplified version of the Arkham combat system in a lot of ways, it's still very complex for something that TT Games has made. If you've ever played a Lego game, you know that they're basically just mashed square, like all the time. Some of the more recent ones have added in more depth. If I recall, Skywalker Saga had like third-person shooter stuff, which it looks like this game will also be implementing. And it also had like a combo system, which obviously this game has something kind of similar to. I'm really interested to see what effect the difficulty selection actually has on gameplay. Like obviously they've told us like the enemy AI is less hard and you're less likely to run into harder enemies. And yeah, they've told us all that, but what does that really mean? I don't know. I just want to play the game. I also noticed that the countering button was different sometimes depending on, I think it was gunshots, and shield guys sometimes were circle to get countered, and everybody else, when it was normal melee, was triangle. I was pretty confused by that, especially because it changed when I went to go watch IGN's gameplay after watching GameSpot, who's where I stole all this footage from. You should go watch their video if you want to see the entire like 30-minute playthrough they were able to do. It's pretty sick. But yeah, very interested just to see how the gameplay works in general, really. Just to see how similar it is to Arkham, how it differentiates from Arkham. I mean, if you saw the fight with the big guy, the big Red Hood guy, the big Fig, he looks very similar to how Titans functioned in Arkham Asylum. He just charges you and then gets stunned, and then you punch him a lot, and then you do that again. I mean, if that poll already said that they're going to give the Arkhamverse era of the Caped Crusader the Lego treatment, then certainly they've already referenced it. They may as well take some inspiration in their combat and be perfectly open about it, although they haven't yet, to my knowledge, said that they've been inspired by the Arkham combat. Although at this point, I feel like it does seem like an obvious thing. If you're making a Batman game, you look to the Arkham games, right? I mean, if you're making a Batman movie, I imagine you look to the Nolan movies and the Burton movies, and at this point, whoever makes a Batman movie after Matt Reeves will look to the Batman and his movies. I do think it's neat how we don't seem to know much about stealth yet either, although maybe that's just because I don't seem to know much about how any of this works at all, really. The stealth looked pretty basic, I guess. As weird and funny as I think the bat frying pan is, it's I don't know, it just makes me wonder if there's more depth to the stealth like there is in Arkham stealth, or if it's just walk up behind the guy and silent takedown, which would admittedly make sense. This is a kid's game, but I once again get flashbacks to Gotham Knights, which had the most god-awful, boring stealth ever because it was just no variation, and honestly, you didn't even need to do it, if I recall correctly, because you could usually beat most stealth encounters without stealthing. I really hope the difficulty selection in this game just eliminates that entirely. Make stealth great again, god damn it. At the end of the day, I'm almost kind of just happy that gargoyles and massive man-sized or Lego minifigure-sized vents are back. But I do think it's going to be kind of weird when we're missing certain abilities, like how in the footage you're watching, this dude's about to pull up on a massive group of people that could totally be Fear multi-takedown, but instead he just kind of jump scares them. It's gonna feel kind of strange going and playing an Arkham-like that's new and missing abilities that are from the most recent Arkham game. Although maybe not. I still play a lot of the old Arkham games. Although honestly, when I go back and play some of the old Arkham games, it still messes with my brain, and I still do things from like Arkham Knight. Like, there's no Fear multi-takedowns in Arkham Asylum, stupid head. Although on the complete opposite end of that, it will be very interesting to see what kind of things get implemented into the game. I wonder if they'll create new gadgets or interesting upgrades. We already know that the Batclaw is in the game, but it works slightly different than we're used to. While we're on the topic of new features, I guess I'll leave you guys with what I think is going to be the most interesting part of the game so far. I mean, it's literally the title, the legacy part. The TT Games director, when he was on stage, was talking about how the game was going to evolve over time as you slowly progress through the story of Batman. I'm interested to see what that means, how that works. Will it be dynamic? Will it work based off of how the player plays the game? Will it just be that the criminals get more afraid of you over time and that they progress their own Batman stopping tools? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see in Batman Lego Legacy. What's it called? Frick. Legacy of the Dark Knight. Answer the last thing that I told you to leave in the comments below. Oh, if you're watching this like months and months from now for some reason and you see that I got something wrong, let me know. That'd be cool. But yeah, leave a comment saying what you want to see in the game. If you disagree with something, I don't know, just say hi. I don't know. Be nice. Be nice to people. Say hi to me or somebody in the comments. I don't know. Just say hi. While you're at it, subscribe. The button's rainbow right now. You know you want to press the funny rainbow thing. Ooh, subscribe. What happens if I do that, actually? subscribe. You can't talk. Anyway, if you're not looking at the subscribe thing because it's letting up rainbows still, watch this video. YouTube thinks you'll like it. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.